So as moisture diminishes, then we start to see the emergence of shorter plants, primarily shrubs followed by grasslands. But there's also a distance discrepancy that we also see associated with loss of moisture that we'll get to when we talk about deserts. Seasonal forest and shrubland is included in your textbook, and there's not a really good diagram or map of these. So with this map, what I want you to recognize is that it falls within the intertropical convergence zone, right? So on either side of the edges of the intertropical convergence zone is where you see this slice of biome that's considered a primary biome by your textbook writers, those authors. And that's sort of this olive color that's right in here. Not quite the savanna, which is this taupey color, and not this deep green color, which is the rainforest, but this little squeeze of color in between, sort of like an army green that you've got. All right, so this is the seasonal shrub forest. Now this location, because the sun is moving across latitudes from 0 to 23.5 degrees north, back to 0, back to 23.5 degrees south, and then to 0. What we see is that across that transect that the sun makes every year is that every location is except for 23.5 degrees north and 23.5 degrees south is going to get 2 periods of rainfall a year. And in and around the tropical rainforest, where those clouds are generating, the rain is going to be pretty much a daily occurrence and intense. As you move and as the sun moves away from the equatorial region, the ITCZ, the moisture starts to drop off. The rain has been exhausted out of this area, and as you move further and further north, the rain becomes less and less apparent. So what's happening here is that the rain volume has diminished somewhat. The temperatures and the sunlight volume is still quite high and quite regular, still close to 12 hours every day. But with the loss of some volume of moisture, you see space where there are no trees. All right, and the density in the vertical structure that we had in the tropical rainforest now is starting to become diminished. We don't have as many layers as we had in the tropical. So this is the seasonal shrub forest, which is right on the edge of the rainforest. All right, it's sort of like Goldilocks, not too wet, not too dry. All right, here is a really great example of where moisture is dictating the structure of these plants. So here I've got lots and lots of trees, and they're probably associated with a riparian area where there's a little bit of a swale where some water is pooling, or within the hydrological structure of the topography, there's a little bit of a stream or a brook, and then out here the landscape is probably just a little bit elevated. The water is falling here as much as it's falling on the tree location, but because the landscape is a little higher, that water is going to shed off of that. It's not going to be held in place, and if it can't be held in place, then there is little opportunity for a plant such as a tree to take it up, take up that moisture. So we see now the occurrence of grasses and shrubs which require less moisture, so they become established in these topographical places.